Hey, are you suddenly managing a team online, like a virtual work team? You're going to want to check out this video. Hey, I'm Molle from the visibility hacking team, and I help small businesses grow their visibility using a variety of different techniques that we call connection machines. But today we're going to talk about managing our teams online. So many of my clients have grown their teams to the point that they actually need to start hiring freelancers, and they end up hiring people from all over the world, at least not in your same town, which means that we have to deal with online meetings and working with our teams remotely. And that brings up a whole bunch of problems because we all know that Zoom burnout is a thing. That Zoom did not need to be a meeting. It could have just been an email. Been there, done that. Don't ever want to do it again. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to manage your virtual team so you get the most out of them without having any of that Zoom burnout, any of those people who are completely logged out and not doing their job. Stay tuned. Let's talk about what's in this video. We're going to talk about the reality of working with people online. And we're also going to talk about how to inspire the best in your team. And at the end of this video, we'll talk about how to create something better. Crazy idea. What about treating your team members like people? I know, crazy idea. But so often when we're working with virtual teams, we tend to manage the data instead of the people. So many companies are putting on these different softwares onto their computers of their employees, or they're looking for all of this documentation to track the work of their freelancers, and it's overwhelming and it's unnecessary work. In reality, if we want our people to work, we need to, 1, trust them, 2, give them the right kind of guidance, and 3, treat them like actual people. Trust them enough to do the actual work. So what I want you to do, action step for this, is to go out and do away with the data and get to know your people like they're real people. Make sure that you're remembering to manage humans, not just the data. I want to know the human side of your team. Let me know about them. Introduce them down below. How big is your team? Where are they from? What kind of stuff do they do? Let us know. Celebrate them. If they've done something amazing, if they've really helped you out recently, let us know. Celebrate them. Shout them out. We love to hear about your successes. I've mentioned this before on this channel, but we always want to make sure that we're setting a standard and we're coaching our employees and our team members up to that standard. It's way too common that people do the complete opposite of that. They set this standard in their own minds, but they don't communicate that over to their employees. They don't train them to that standard. And then when the employee is unable to perform at the rate that is expected of them, but hasn't been communicated, we then dump all of this criticism on that employee and we put all of the fault on them, when in reality, that is a perfect example of poor management. So instead, what we want to do is set a standard, communicate that standard, train to that standard, and then continuously coach to that standard. Always making sure that first we as managers and as supervisors are first leading by example, but then we're always going to reinforce. I've worked with a whole bunch of managers and supervisors when they were new to their roles, and they were so fearful of giving those constant pieces of feedback. They felt that made them feel like they were the bad guy, that they were constantly nitpicking. It took them away from being the fun manager that they really wanted to be, that approachable, laid-back environment that they wanted to create. When in reality, think of it this way. If you aren't nipping it in the bud as these behaviors are happening, then that's setting the tone for your team that you're okay with these bad behaviors continuing. If you're okay with level number 1 bad behavior, then I'm sure you'll be okay with level number 2, etc., etc. Then you're going to have a much bigger problem on your hands. I learned from a really great manager of mine that when you actually address the poor behavior while it's happening, it leads to way less issues in the back end, because what you're doing is training your staff or training your team to work within the boundaries that you're expecting of them. It helps them thrive. It helps them focus on all of their creative energy in a positive direction rather than focusing that energy on trying to skirt you. So think about it that way. Here's the standard here on the channel. All you have to do is click the subscribe button and join us here on the channel. I'm always looking for ways to build something better when we use technology to communicate. We don't just want to recreate what used to happen in person. Like, for example, a classroom. If our kids are coming home from the classroom, instead of just recreating a teacher standing there talking in front of students, which is what we kind of did with Zoom, think about how you can create something bigger, how you can use technology and all of the resources that are available to you. See, I come to this idea because I come from an education background, and I know how important it is when you're talking to people and when you're communicating things and when you're teaching and you're training to reinforce information in a variety of different ways. So what I look to do is to change up my meetings a little bit, to change the format a little bit, to change and look for things that I can do to connect that are creative. So maybe I'm sending a fun little work appropriate email, little joke to my team, for example, or I find a funny cartoon or a funny meme, or I find a topical article or news story that has to do maybe tangentially with what we're working on, or maybe there's a topic that comes up that starts generating some brainstorming in my head, and I send that out to my team. Just, what are your thoughts on this? Yes, it can come off as adding a little bit of workload, but my team knows that sometimes I'm just looking to get those creative juices flowing. Another thing that you can do is there's a really cool tool online called Kahoots. Again, this comes from my classroom experience, where you can do online quizzes. So I do this with my team, even though we are all over the world. I always make sure that some of our meetings start with a little bit of a Kahoots team versus team competition. So what happens is you put up these multiple choice questions, and your teammates are able to log into the platform using their mobile phones, and everyone is able to view the questions and answer at the same time. It's super fun. So I recommend looking for those creative ways to connect with your people. You can also do movie nights and all of those usual things that you would do in person, but thinking about how we can do this online, I always think adds that extra little push. So don't worry if your small business is still at the point where it's just you and a small team in person. This video is meant to set you up with the right mindset for when you start to grow that team of yours. And if you already have a wonderful team all over the world, this video then is meant to set you up with the tools you need to make the most out of that team. I love it. Okay, so before we go, my friends, make sure that you join us over in the Visibility Hackers community. We've got tons of great information over there for you, great live shows that we have every week, and I would honestly love to see you guys over there. So all you have to do is head over to visibilityhacking.com. There's a button at the top of the page that says Become a Visibility Hacker. Click on that button. It'll bring you over to our Facebook group, answer a couple questions, and then join us over there. I would love to see you guys there. Put in all your questions in the comments, that kind of stuff. We go live on Fridays in a show we call Friday Night Live. So much fun. We bring our students on, our visibility hackers on. We do live coaching and a whole bunch of fun stuff. So it's absolutely great. I want to see you guys over there. Okay, so I gotta go, but in the meantime, remember, as per usual, I love you. Be excellent to each other, and go build your connection machine.